Sebastian Salazar joins us here on our Progressive Guest Line. Of course, you can hear him on ESPN. Let's start with Group C, and I was looking at the schedule, Sebastian. The winner of Group C comes to this city, Las Vegas, for the quarterfinals. So, Team USA, how realistic is their shot to emerge as the winner of Group C?
It's going to be tough. I think there's a pretty clear haves and have-nots in the group, right? Uruguay and the United States are absolutely the class of the group, but I think Uruguay are a pretty significant bit better than the U.S. men's national team. They've pulled off some really impressive results in their World Cup qualifying down in South America against the teams you're going to see in this tournament, the Brazils, the Argentinas, the Colombias. And they just absolutely wiped the floor with Mexico about a week and a half ago, 4-0. Their top scorer there, Darwin Nunez, had a hat-trick in that game. So they're coming in hot. They've got a new coach who has them playing well. And if we look at the U.S. team, basically what they have not done yet under the current manager, Greg Berhalter, and with this current generation, which is as good as we've ever had in American soccer, they've not won a knockout round game. They've not had a signature win. They've not beaten a real good team yet. And so to think that they're going to beat this version of Uruguay and win the group, I think might be asking just a little bit too much of this U.S. team, not based on the talent it has, but based on what we've seen from them so far.
Sebastian, in Copa America, is there a reason at all to look past the top three big boys, we'll call them, Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay?
No, honestly, I should say no with a caveat. I don't think any of the teams from our neck of the woods, from CONCACAF, from the North America, have a real shot to win it. I include the U.S. in that. Mexico is very down, but really, to win the tournament for a North American team, you're going to have to pull 3 upsets back to back to back, and I just don't see that happening. So I think the big 3 are the favorites. It's Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay. And then I would throw in Colombia, who I think are going off at like 11-1 or something like that, as a pretty decent dark horse. They've got a really good unbeaten streak going. I think it's up to 22, 23 games now. They just pounded the U.S. about a week and a half ago here in the D.C. area, 5-1. So they're coming in hot. And I think that they're a team that maybe has an outside shot at making it to a final. Once you get to a final, anything can happen. So Colombia, I think, is as far down as you can go. And really have a chance to win it. I actually see Ecuador, and I think they're a really good value in this tournament based on the group that they're in to make a deep run. So if you can get Ecuador maybe on odds to make a semifinal, I think there could be some really good value there. But to me, it's the top 4 and really the top 3 that we should be focused on as far as winning this tournament.
Sebastian, I'm glad we went there because the last time, I think we had you on since then, but we had you on right before the World Cup, and you said one of your best bets was for Mexico not to emerge out of their group, and they did not. So let's look at their group, Group B. And this is interesting to note, right? So we're sitting here at Circa in Las Vegas, and the odds that they have, Ecuador's plus 134 to win that group, Mexico's plus 155. The reason I bring that up, Sebastian, DraftKings, which is available in many, many states, they have Mexico as the favorite at plus 110, Ecuador at plus 160. Who do you think emerges out of Group B, and is plus 160 for Ecuador worth a look?
Yeah, it absolutely is. Ecuador's a really good value in this tournament, both to win the group and, like I said, if you can get them to make a semifinal. I don't think Mexico is going to get out of this group. And I know there's actually some value there. Yeah, I was looking at some of the, and I just know I'm on ESPN Bet. That's kind of what I'm looking off of. But I think it was like plus 290 for Mexico not to advance. And obviously, I think I might have said this ahead of the World Cup. Take what I say about Mexico with a grain of salt because I'm a kind of embittered Mexico fan. But since the World Cup, there's only been another year and a half of kind of bad, catastrophic results for Mexico. So there's no reason to think that they are what they were. And I think the odds reflect maybe what Mexico was and what Vegas is thinking will be a big home field advantage for Mexico because the games are being played here in the United States. But I don't think that makes a difference when you're not playing well. And Ecuador is a team that's really playing well. Venezuela is a team that has given Mexico, I wouldn't say fits, but really tough games over the years. And it's a Venezuela team that looks pretty solid and I think could pull an upset. And then Jamaica, which is the other team in the group, is a team that Mexico usually is better than, but has some talent that can make Mexico nervous and that has given Mexico problems in the past. So I really do see some value in kind of going against Mexico in this tournament in that group. And that also means that Ecuador then, if they're able to not just get out of that group, but win that group, which most people think is Mexico's group to win, they would then be very well poised to make a deep run because they would be opposite Group A, which is Argentina's group. But once you get past Argentina in that group, there are some teams that are very accessible for a potential quarterfinal matchup for whoever does come out of Group B.
Well, so would that play against Mexico include like game to game? So they open up their play with Jamaica on the three-way line. Mexico's minus 160, draw plus 275, Jamaica 5-1. Would you do that, or are you looking more like future-wise play against them in terms of groups, things like that?
Future-wise, I'm thinking more future-wise. Specifically, the game against Jamaica is really hard to handicap because even though Mexico's terrible, they have had success historically against Jamaica. And this Jamaica team is really hard to know what you're going to get. They have a lot of kind of internal strife issues within the federation. Their best player is a guy named Leon Bailey. He plays over in the Premier League in England. He's had one of the best seasons over in one of the best leagues in the world. He's called into this tournament. But his dad came out a few days ago and said, Leon's not coming because we got beef with the federation. So whenever you see stuff like that, it's really hard to know what you're going to get out of Jamaica, which is already a team that's kind of hard to pin down. So I'd stay away from Jamaica, Mexico specifically, just because it's an opener. I think we're going to learn a lot about both of those two teams in that game. I think what I'm projecting with Mexico is, they're just a bad team. They're a bad version of themselves, and they're in a group where, unlike the United States that has teams in their group that they're very clearly better than, Mexico does not have that. They might be better than Venezuela. They might be better than Ecuador on a day. They might be better than Jamaica, but they also might lose all three of those games. And I think when you take that into account, and you've got almost 3-1 odds, in favor for them to not get out of the group, there's just an incredible value there.